this month, leaders from over 200 countries will gather in Glasgow, Scotland for the UN Climate Conference. They'll spend 2 weeks discussing the ways we can avert this horrible climate crisis, and specifically what can be done about stemming the rapidly increasing global warming, which is causing so much havoc on our Earth. While, of course, we hope that the conference will promote some very real change, many people are worried that little action will actually come from this meeting, and will continue down the path leading us to a future which is too painful to even imagine. Now, this week's Parsha offers us a bit of an environmental message as it presents us with the familiar story of Noah. We're told that Noah was a righteous man who was perfect in his generation. And he's commanded, as we know the story so well, to build an ark to save all life from the corruption of the humans who are destroying the earth. Well, the story is all too often seen through the storybook lens. Think happy bearded Noah sitting on a boat filled with smiling animals who somehow all seem to fit. The story itself also can be seen through a bit of a different lens, as an especially powerful reminder of something, for better or worse, much more challenging. This is a harrowing reminder of what can happen when people and the environment no longer are able to live in harmony, and what we are still doing to destroy the world. It's also a lesson, thankfully, in what we can do to save ourselves. Now, back in the Garden of Eden, the story that we read last week, everything was peaceful, except, of course, for a snake and some trees and fruits that were a bit problematic. But we're told that people, animals, and the plants lived in peace and in harmony, and everything was comfortable. The people tended the garden for many generations, that is, until they, hishchit, corrupted their way on the earth. Now, the text doesn't say specifically what this corruption was, but many midrashim and commentaries say that the people became violent and they became cruel, bringing hatred to each other and destruction to the earth. So God decides to wipe the slate clean and see if another opportunity at creation would be better, leaving Noah, the only righteous man, to build the ark and save the earth. Now, you don't necessarily need to believe in a supernatural punishing God to see the truth behind this story. If we corrupt the earth, if we pollute and destroy the environment, if we destroy the land and abuse and kill the animals and tear down the forests, the floods, they'll come, along with the hurricanes, the excessive heat, the pandemics, the sickness and fear. It's clear that we are causing our own destruction. Now, if we see the story of Noah through the lens of environmental stewardship, it's important to note that God does not say to Noah, "Thou shalt organize a conference to meet and talk with other people about what to do." Now, that's not to say that Noah couldn't have gained a lot from this experience if he could just find some righteous people to meet with. But on the other hand, what we see is that Noah acts deliberately, and he carefully creates a vision for a better future. And he worked hard. There are midrashim that tell us that Noah actually planted all of the trees he'd need for the ark a full 120 years before the flood. So one could assume that he wouldn't need to cut down any trees. He spent 52 years building the ark, trying to inspire others to change their ways as they saw the project play out. And on the water, on the ark filled with animals, he carefully fed for each and every animal according to their needs. That's a lot of food to feed and a lot of, stuff to clean up after them. Now, according to Midrash Tanchuma, Noah may have needed more than a few cups of fair trade organic coffee throughout this job. He was so busy, it said, throughout those 12 months, Noah and his sons did not sleep because they had to feed the animals, the beasts, and the birds. So above all, the lesson of the ark is in some ways a biblical version of a floating experimental ecosystem, that we can, in fact, live with harmony, in harmony with the earth. Life can sustain itself with hard work, with visionary thinking and compassion for life. While the world fell apart around him, Noah modeled that a sustainable world is possible. He planned, he built, he innovated, and through it all maintained a faith that there was a way out, that there was a way to dry land. Is the story of Noah historically accurate? I doubt it. But like all the stories in the Torah, its truth is real and can be found in the lessons it can teach us. If we don't act now, if we don't make the necessary changes, if we don't stop the actions which are corrupting our world, we are only planning our own destruction. The story of Noah, it can remind us that while every action makes a difference as we confront the environmental crisis, like building that ark, the time is now to go big. There's no time for lingering on the sidelines.